Hello all, we'll start with another part of this tutorial. So let's get started. So as you can see over here, we have done this modeling over here. So in this part we are going to start with the texturing part. So let's take a reference of this. So we'll take one reference over here. So I have a reference over here. Let's take a reference over here of this. So for now we are going to texture it, this part. So for that we are going to unwrap it. So for unwrapping this, you can go into this unwrap UVW. Let's select this polygon. Let's go to the top view. Subtract this part. We are going to unwrap only the top part first and rest of the part afterwards. So we are going to unwrap this stuff in this manner. So you can just press F3 and you can just check it whether it's unwrapped or not. Sorry, selection. You have to remove the selection which is not required. So press Alt and you can just exclude this selections. So just exclude all the selections. So the selections which you require, you can keep it, and the selections which you don't require, you can just remove those selections. Okay, so these are the bottom faces. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a planar mapping over here. So you can take this projection over here as a planar map into your X, Y or Z. We can take this onto the Z axis and use a quick planar map. Go into open UV editor. So if you are directly you're doing this quick planar map, it's fine. You can check it like this. Now what you can do is you can just rotate it. You can just rotate this part and make it a bit straight. So you can resize it, go into it and you can push this out. That's it. So if you want, you can just save it over here, the selections as top. So now you press Ctrl I, that is for the inverse. So we are going to now make the selection only from the side. So you can just make the selections right from the side, and I'm going to subtract all this part from here. So just subtract all this stuff right from here. So you can remove the selection which is not required. You can subtract those selections. Just subtract it. That's it. Okay, so once you're done with the selection, subtract all this. just check it out properly. Sometimes somewhere else might get selected. So you can just check it in a proper way. So if you don't want this part, that can be easily excluded. So whatever part you don't need it, you can just exclude it. It is going to be to the bottom part. So bottom part we can easily exclude that part. So only the remaining part will be your side. So you can just name it as your side 1. You can click over here, go into this planner, and you can check the axis. X-axis, no, your y-axis is perfect, and you have an option over here, your quick planner map. You can go into your UV editor, and you can push this part out. So if you want, you can easily relax it. If you want to relax it, you can easily relax it. So you can relax it, or you can just keep it. You can just select the particular faces and you can just relax it. Or you can use this basic options to unfold it, or you can keep it as it is. So as you can see, this part is also over here, has come out. So let's keep it as it is. Now let's take again this polygon, again selecting this all, Control I, inverse. So what I've done right now over here is I have subtracted this particular area. So again just select all this element and subtract it. So if you don't need that area, you can easily remove that area and the selection. So if you don't need it, you can just press Alt Q, get it into the isolation mode. Just get it into the isolation mode. And you don't need this, you can just remove this, all your selections from here. So you need to deselect this also, as you don't have to select over here. So you don't need it, just subtract it. Alright, so once you're done, you can, you have to remove this also, because this is a part of your front view, so you don't need it. Let me save the file. So you don't need this. So let's again go over here, go down, take a planner, X, Y, okay, and give a quick planner map. So you can go over here again, and you can take this back, and you can push it over here like this. So if you want to rotate it, you can easily rotate it. You can flip it. So if you like to flip it, you can just flip it from here like this, and you want to flip in the horizontal way, you can flip it in this horizontal way. That's it. So now you have one more, that is your bottom view. If you want the bottom view in the same way, you can take it the bottom view. So now let's take the front view. So just exclude all this part. Just exclude all this. So that's it. You get the front view. You can just make sure you are subtracting all from it. Go down, take a planner. Just see the planner and quick planner map. So you can push this over here. That's it. And we don't need this. We can give the texture afterwards to it. Or if you want to give a kind of a black texture, you can give this afterwards. So select all of these elements. Select all of these elements and place all these elements inside this. So you can just scale it. Push it inside. So just save your file. Okay. So now you can go into tools, render UV template, and you can increase the texture by 2048 by 2048, and let's render it. So click on the save. I'll make a folder on the desktop, naming it as Buggy UV. Open it and save it in the form of JPG. So let's open Photoshop over here. So let's go into Photoshop and let's open that particular UV over here. Go into the desktop. So we have saved this Buggy UV. Open this file over here. So unlock this layer, take a new blank layer, and let's give a bit of a basic color to it, and let's give a screen mode over here. So now I do have some textures over here for this, the buggy textures. So I do have some textures. So I can take any of the texture from it. Let's take any of the textures from here. Like this is one texture, this is one texture. So let's take this texture, that is your steel brown texture. So let's take this texture over here. Control T. I'll just scale it and I'll push it over here. So you can zoom it, resize the texture. Control T. Right click on it and you can just duplicate the texture and push it over here. Control T and you can just flip it, flip vertical. That's it. So you can just merge these textures accordingly, and you can use some kind of a content aware also if you want. So you can just use a bit of a content aware if it is required. You can use a feather. Just make a selection over here, right click, fill, and give a content aware. So you can get something kind of a smooth effect over here. So let's remove this part from here. That's it. Okay. So now what we can do is, I do have one more texture over here, that is your rusted. So you can use any kind of a rusted metal. So you have a rusted yellow metal over here. Unlock this, take this over here, so you can just make a copy of it, duplicate it and merge it. So now again what you can do is, you can just select over here, right click, fill, and give a content aware, fill, oops, I'm sorry, right click, fill, give a content aware, that's it. Okay, so I want to give the same texture over here also. So Control T, right click, flip vertical, okay, and onto the front you need this texture, the same texture. You can just use Control T, rotate it, and you can make a copy of it. And if you like to clone this area, so you can easily clone this area. So you can increase the opacity and flow, and you can just clone this area. So whatever area you want, you can easily clone it. So again, make a selection over here, right click, fill, okay. So make a selection over here, right click, fill, click OK, that's it. So as you can see, we have done this texturing part for this. So off this, so let's go into File, Save As, and let's go into the UV only with texture and save it in JPG, or you can save it in PSD file also, and click OK. So now let's go over here, as we have done the selection part. So let's go into the material. Let's take material over here. We are just, if you want a V-Ray material, you can give a V-Ray material, or you can go into this bitmap and you have buggy UV. I'm sorry. And assign this over here. That's it. So as you can see over here, the texture is applied. So you can go down, you can select this, push this. Alright, so you can just apply it again. You can assign the texture. Oops, close this, click over here, and you can just assign the texture back. So we're done with this part now. So we're done with the whole DS, that's the reason. So just assign the texture. Just a sec. So sorry. Okay. So you can go over here, open UV editor. So already the UV editor is done over here. So just assign the texture over here. unassign it over here in this form. So end isolated, that's it. So as you can see, we have just unwrapped this part, and if you like to see the smoothness, you can use a bit of a turbo smooth. You can use a turbo smooth, and you can see you have unwrapped it. So if you want some kind of more roughness over here, you can go into the Photoshop and you can paint the roughness. So that's all today. We'll continue in the next part. Thanks for watching this tutorial.